folks, Captain Mikey coming to you for KastKing. Woo! Here in Florida, it is hot. It is summertime. It is officially here. Hot. And that heat makes for some tough fishing. There's a number of reasons why the bite slows down in the middle of the summer. When those water temperatures rise and that water gets nice and hot, there's a lot less oxygen in the water. And with less oxygen in the water, there's really only 3 places those fish are gonna go. They're either gonna go find the darkest, greenest, thickest cover that they can that's producing oxygen, like grasses and lily pads. The dark green stuff is where they're gonna be. Or they're gonna try to find the deepest holes with some kind of structure to hold to. That water's gonna be a little cooler down deep, and it's naturally gonna have a little more oxygen to it. And of course, the third and final place to look is current. Anywhere there's some kind of current and flowing water, that's gonna help generate oxygen in the water as well. Kind of like the aerators in your live well. In the middle of summer, in the heat, one of the best tactics and techniques that anyone across this country uses is soft plastics. Soft plastics like worms, lizards, crawdads, big, bulky things that you can move slow. These fish aren't gonna move fast. They don't have a lot of energy to expend, and they're not gonna wanna expend all that energy chasing down a bunch of small things. So I think go big or go home in the middle of summer. Big, soft plastics like 10-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch worms. But keeping in mind that those bass are lacking oxygen, they're only gonna be in certain spots. And the obvious place to target them is gonna be in that thick, heavy cover. Find the grass, find the lily pads, find that coontail or milfoil or whatever it is, the stuff that they're buried up in. That's more than likely where they're gonna be. The trick is, how do you get your soft plastics in there? Of course, most of us, we're gonna go to a Texas rig. It's nice and weedless. You can put a little bullet nose sinker on there. You can even peg that. It works out pretty darn good. But it's not perfect, is it? More often than not, what ends up happening on a Texas rig like this? Is there anything more frustrating than that? That worm sliding down the hook, exposing all of that hook to grab onto that grass, that weed, whatever it is out there. With these extra wide gap hooks here, and they've got that little bend that acts like a keeper, but it's not perfect. Those worms still end up sliding down and balling up on the end of your hook. But is there any other way to fish soft plastics like worms in heavy cover? I got a trick I'm gonna show you guys that I guarantee you've never seen before. A way to rig your soft plastics to keep it weedless and keep it from falling down that hook. It's also a pretty cool way to rig it completely differently to add some extra action. Your plastic will never fall down that hook again. I guarantee you've never seen this. A good buddy of mine named Mike as well showed me this rig. He came up with this idea. I don't know if anybody else has thought of this or anybody else has been doing it, but I've never seen it before, and it works amazing. It's a way to completely think outside of the box that most people won't even think of. It all starts with your extra wide gap hook, whatever size you want. I got a little 3/0 here. All of them are gonna have this little bend right here. That's the keeper. And of course, at the end of the bend is the eye. And that's where you would tie your line, right? That's what the eye is for. That little bend is supposed to hold on to that soft plastic to try to prevent it from sliding down that hook. It's not a perfect system, as we all know. So my good friend Michael came up with this idea because he fishes a lot of worms here in Florida, and we got a lot of grass and a lot of heavy cover. He got so frustrated losing so many fish and getting tangled up so often because of his soft plastic sliding down that hook. He thought about this and came up with this fantastic idea. First, let's show you just how to tie it. We're not going to use that eye at all. What we're going to do is we're going to tie to that point right there. We're going to tie to the keeper here, not to the eye, but to the keeper. We're going to tie a snell knot, a simple snell knot that's going to hold right and tight right on the bend of the keeper. But taking your line and tying a snell knot on that, if you're not familiar with how to tie a snell knot, there's all sorts of videos out there. They're very, very simple, easy knot to tie. This is one of the oldest knots out there. Back in the day, believe it or not, hooks actually didn't even have eyes on them. The snell knot was invented so they could tie directly to that shank. Now I'm using fluorocarbon because I got fairly clear water. If you can get away with braid works fantastic for this too, of course. And you're simply just going to tighten that snell knot right there, right on the bend of that keeper. Now that is a whole different pivot point. That's gonna have a different pull and obviously a different action to the lure immediately just because you tied at a different spot. Pretty darn cool, right? Just like that, we're thinking completely outside the box. I know it's something I'd never seen before. What you're gonna do, take your worm again. We're gonna Texas rig it just like we normally do, but we're gonna kind of do it backwards. Rather than sticking the hook through the top like we do and poking it out and wrapping it around like a typical Texas rig, we're gonna start with the eye and poke that eye right inside and through, just like that. As you can see, the line is still outside of that worm. Go ahead and take your hook, Tex-pose it, and boom, there you go. It can no longer slide down the hook because the line is there. That worm can't get past that line. It's not gonna slide down that hook at all because it can't get past your line that you tied on the keeper right there. Pretty darn cool, right? Never again is your soft plastic gonna slide down the hook. That's pretty cool right there. But there's even more. This time, we're actually gonna put it down about an inch. Insert it about an inch inside and just run it up in the middle of it. So there's about an inch or a half inch of nose on the end of the hook here. Then take your hook, Texas rig it like you normally would, Tex-posing the point, leaving it completely weedless. And now, imagine the action that this is gonna have. Your line is pulling from here. It's gonna have this little nib moving around. That's gonna create a whole different action altogether. Now, you're not subject to where you tie that line. Because a normal Texas rig is tied to the eye of the hook, it's gotta go in the top, and it's only gonna stay in that top section. But with a rig like this, you can rig it anywhere you want. Let's put it down about 2.5 inches here. Look at that now, guys. Now we're rigged up, still completely rigless, but it's almost a semi-wacky rig. All sorts of action, just like a Ned rig off the end here. You run that across grass, across lily pads, across any kind of matted vegetation, completely weedless, with a tremendous amount of action. That's something that actually they've never seen before and nobody else is throwing. I guarantee you're gonna get bit. One thing I like to do, guys, and I recommend here, about a foot up, I'm tying on a swivel. Because this thing's gonna have so much erratic action as I'm moving it along and around, it's gonna spin as well. And I don't wanna get all that line twist on there. So put a swivel about a foot up and you're gonna have an incredible amount of action on a completely weedless rig that's not gonna slide down your hook at all. It's gonna stay weedless no matter what you're throwing it through. Pretty darn cool. Now, of course, the possibilities are endless when you're talking weightless rig. But what if you want to add a little extra weight? Get it down deeper to some of that deep structure or that other deep holes where those deep summer bass are sitting out there. Right on the end of your hook, you can always add a little weight. They make weights for your hooks that you just simply clamp onto your hook there. That little weight's going to completely alter the action now too. Again, depending on where you put the hook inside your soft plastic, it's going to completely alter that action now too. Again, something completely different that they haven't seen before. Another option for weighting these is like a Nico rig. Imagine putting a little nail weight into the end of this. That's gonna have an incredibly different action altogether. You can alter where you put that hook anywhere inside any soft plastic. This is just a trick worm. Imagine what you can do with longer curly tail worms, lizards. So his little head bobs up and down the entire time. He says, yeah, I like the rig. I like it, yeah, buddy. Whoa! More action altogether, and it stays completely weedless the entire time, never sliding down the hook because of where you tied that line. Tie a snow rig right to the bend of your hook. It's a weighted rig that nobody else is doing, and the bass has never seen before, giving it an entirely new action out there, and I guarantee you're gonna get a whole lot of new bites with this. Pretty darn awesome, and again, no matter what they do, they cannot slide that down that hook. It's never gonna slide down the hook because your line's gonna stop it every single time. Awesome, awesome idea. That's thinking outside the box. That's showing the bass something they've never seen before. In the middle of summer when the bites are tough, don't be afraid to try something completely different. And I promise you, you're gonna find bites that you didn't find earlier. Well, folks, I hope you liked this. And I hope you learned a little something. Next time you're out on the water and you're having that tough bite in the middle of summer, try thinking outside the box. Try the Mikey rig. See how it works out for you. I really hope it does help. And if you did like this, make sure you smash the heck out of that like button. And make sure you take a look at these. Make sure you subscribe to these. And click on that little bell to get notified anytime we've got new tips, tricks, and techniques just like this. One last time from beautiful North Florida, it's Captain Mikey for KastKing signing out. The future is bright. You keep those lines tight.